Hey harvesters, and welcome to the channel where we sell options to generate income. My name is Matt, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the trades I executed for January 15th. I'm going to talk about all of the covered calls, the cash secured puts that helped me generate over $677 of premium. Today was a really solid day, guys. I was super excited about it. However, today was not flawless. I made a mistake. I didn't actually trade all of the shares I could have traded, and I was a little bit sloppy. So I'll talk about it once we head over to Excel when I talk about the individual trading. Then we're going to take a step back. We're going to take a look at the project State of the Union because I talk about two different accounts, my main brokerage, which is on the screen right now, but then also a smaller Roth IRA. We'll talk about those project State of the Unions. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the trades I plan on running for tomorrow, January 16th. So let's get the ball rolling. You guys know me. The first thing I like to talk about on my channel is my portfolio value from the Robinhood screen. Right now, main brokerage, $240,874. Let's head over to the Roth IRA. This account is a little bit smaller, but it's still going to eventually get me to my financial goals. It's at $26,906.65. Great. One more point I want to highlight is my buying power, because I think it's going to be important to understand my buying power and how much money I have invested everywhere to better understand why I made specific trades. So right now, Robinhood allows me about $542,000 of buying power. Man, if I max this out, I'd be making almost double what I'm making now in my daily and weekly profits. But right now, my cash is at $0, which is exactly where I want it. I want all of my cash utilized running covered calls. That's the main workhorse to my investing strategy. But right now, I also have about $95,000 of margin use. And so for my margin usage, I'm fine doing a 1-for-1 cash to margin ratio. So if my account's 240,000, I'm fine with having $240,000 of margin. However, I don't actually like holding onto the margin. So whenever I have a margin on the books, I want to offload it as fast as possible, generate as much premium as I can. I'm not looking for any appreciation when it comes to my margin usage. I just want to make the premium upfront, offload the shares I do have on margin, and then minimize the amount of margin interest accrued. And right now, for my options collateral, I have a cash secured put on ORCL that's active and it's going to expire tomorrow. And because I have event contracts and futures enabled in my Robinhood settings, Robinhood lets me borrow another $135,000 against my account to run cash secured puts, even though all of my cash is maxed out. So it's more like a collateral secured put. And I do this to generate an extra couple percent on the portfolio. And with that being said, let's take a quick look at the amount of shares I have. 400 shares of ORCLs. That's pretty much tapped out. I'm waiting for all of my covered call contracts to expire on that. But for QQQ, I have 200 shares, which is 2 covered call contracts, expiration as a week long. But then I also have 200 shares that I'd be able to trade for tomorrow. One was assigned from a cash secured put, and then 100 shares I forgot to trade today. And then lastly, my view shares. That's technically my 401k plan that I recently swapped over back in. When did I start? Like October, November? Cool. But now that we have all of the lay of the land dialed in, let's head over to the spreadsheet and talk about the trades. All right, guys, now that we are at January 15th, let's talk about my trades or the lack of trades. So heading into January 15th, I had 200 shares of QQQ that I could have ran, 2 covered calls on. But because my QQQ covered call that I had the 620 bind point, the premium was so high, I totally forgot I had another 100 shares of QQQ shares I can trade at the 626 bind point. Because this premium was so high, my brain just turned off and it just went into total excitement. And that I didn't like that happened. I left money on the table. I don't like leaving money on the table because, $50, $100, $200. My whole point of this channel is making those small wins eventually add up to a big pile of money that's going to get us to our financial goals faster. And for having a little tiny slip up like this, I'm not a fan of it. We're 10 trading days into 2026. I shouldn't be slipping up like that. But guess what, guys? We are all human. I'm just going to take this hit on the chin. We're going to learn from it. And then hopefully for the rest of 2026, I don't make a little problem like this. So 100 shares left money on the table, but let's dive into that second covered call of QQQ. So I had that 620 bind point, basically cash secured put was assigned from yesterday at that 620. So what did I do today? Because QQQ opened at the 626.62 and you guys saw my buying power, I had all of my cash utilized. And then I was also tapping into margin that margin after that cash secured put, that margin was from that cash secured put that I got signed because I bought 100 shares of QQQ at the 620 price. So that means I needed $62,000 to buy 100 shares. And because those shares were on margin, I want to offload them as fast as possible. I want to lock in premium upfront as much as possible. And then I want to minimize the amount of margin interest occurred on those shares. So what happened? I chose that 620 strike price immediately. That's the same as my buying point. Wanted to offload the shares, made $572 of premium. It was a shock. I woke up, my jaw almost broke. I was like, what the heck? I got lucky. This doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, I love when it does. End of the day, QQQ closed at the 621.66, and this was a sign. So that means I sold the 100 shares of QQQ at that 620, but then I was pocketed and made the money up front for that premium, that $572. And then the other two trades I ran were cash secured puts, one on the QQQ, one on the SPY, because you guys know me, I like to spread them out, spread the risk, a little bit of tech, a little bit of the S&P 500. So let's talk about the QQQ cash secured put. Same story. QQQ opened at the 626.62, chose the 623 strike price, bagged $74 of premium. Because QQQ closed at the 621.66, and this was a cash secured put, my strike price was a 623. Market closed at the 621.66. Because my strike price was higher, that means I got those shares assigned. So that means I bought 100 shares of QQQ at that 623. And you guys might look like, oh, technically that was a bad trade because, okay, QQQ is trading at the 621. If we head over to Robinhood, it's actually trading already higher at the 624. So I might have a repeat of January 15th on January 16th. So it will be cool. Hopefully it plays out that way. And looking at the SPY cash secured put, SPY opened at the 694.62. I chose a super conservative delta. This was even lower than my normal 0.25 that I usually advocate on the channel. Chose that 690 strike price, which for a 2.25 delta is usually $3 away, but I was like, yeah, I really don't want to get these assigned. Back $31. Doesn't seem like a lot of money, but guys, adds up over time. End of the trading day, this was expired. So basically made the premium up front, freed up that collateral so I can run it tomorrow. Life is good. No margin interest occurred. End of the trading day, guys, $677. Fan freaking tastic. I love it. All right, now let's head over to the Project State of the Union and let's talk about the high level data that I collect for this project. So like I mentioned, guys, we are 10 trading days into 2026, bagged $677, and the account bounced up a little bit. It's at $240,964. In total, almost 2 weeks of trading in 2026. Guys, we've bagged over $5,773. Absolutely bonkers. Love it. We are starting 2026 very well. I'm pretty happy about it. And if we look at this 2.70%, I'm pretty sure we're also outperforming the market, S&P 500 and the QQQ. So let's actually take a look at that real quick. So let's head over to Robinhood and let's take a look at the QQQ and SPY, see how they have been doing from year to date. So year to date for QQQ, guys, it's only up 0.47%. So I'm almost 5xing what the QQQ is doing right now. Not that that's what I'm trying to advertise. I'm really just trying to hold good investments and then be able to live off those investments without tapping into the principal. But let's also take a look at how SPY is performing year to date. Looking at the SPY year to date, guys, it's actually a little bit higher than QQQ. That's actually quite interesting, but it's 1.14%. But guess what, guys? I'm up 2.70%. So I'm almost doubling this, almost 2.5 times what the S&P 500 is doing. Yeah, I might get a little penalized for tax time, but guess what? We are doing pretty good compared to the normal market. So I just wanted to call that out real quick because I noticed that. I know it's a little bit too early in 2026 to be like, yeah, Matt, good job. We'll see. We'll see at the end of 2026 if I actually did outperform. Cool. Let's head back to the Project State of the Union, back to the Excel spreadsheet. And we hit those high level numbers. We had 10 trading days, 10 winning days. That's one of my main goals for 2026 is win all of my trades. Yeah, even though I had a little mistake today, guess what? I didn't really lose any money, and losing money is also just as good as, or not losing money is just as good as making money because you're preserving your capital. Looking at the high level statistics, I'm averaging about $577 of profit per day. If we look at that as an average weekly profit, I'm already at $2,886. My average for 2025 was about 2,353. So we're almost $500 above it. And then we're almost $100 above the daily average from 2025. Looking at the average monthly profit, we haven't even hit a full month yet, but we are slowly creeping in on that $9,780. We're at $5,773. Great. And let's head over to the weekly tracker. For the second week of 2026, we have locked in over $2,601, and we are about $92 away from beating the first week of 2026. And like I mentioned in my previous, I think 2 or 3 videos, guys, we've hit the 19 weeks in a row 4-digit club. That means we've made it $1,000 or more for 19 weeks in a row. Love the consistency, love the predictability. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're not looking for gambling and speculation. We're looking for consistent income that someday we'll be able to live off of this. We already talked about the monthly premium and the yearly premium. Let's head over to the Roth IRA. So this is the Roth IRA, guys. There really isn't anything to highlight. I still have my cash secured puts on Walmart currently active. And if we look there, I mean, when I opened up these cash secured puts, Walmart was trading at the 117.50. At the end of the trading day for January 15th, it was at the 119. So these aren't really getting near assignment. So probably end of the week, they're just going to expire worthless. And then I'll still have free cash to then run cash secured puts. So I'll figure out what kind of investment I'll aim for next week on Sunday. So I really don't have much more to say on the Roth IRA. Pretty simple. You don't have the thing about retirement accounts, you can't use margin. So you don't have like that extra income capability. So you just, whatever cash you have is what you're going to be able to produce off of that cash. Not that that's a bad thing, but it definitely limits the gains a bit. So yeah, guys, that's all of the high level metrics. Let's head over to Robinhood. Let's talk about the plan for tomorrow. All right, guys, back at the Robinhood screen. Let's head over to QQQ and take a look at where QQQ is trading. So as I mentioned from the Excel spreadsheet, I had a cash secured put assigned at the 623 for QQQ, and we're already up, $100, $114 off of that assignment. Man, we're already starting off Friday on a good note. So let's take a look at trade QQQ options. And just as a reminder, I have those 200 shares of QQQ I can trade, so I can run 2 covered call options. So let's take a look. Because I had that cash secured put assigned at that 623, and those are technically on margin, I'm going to want to offload those as soon as possible. So without doing any technical analysis, I'm choosing that 623 strike price, bagging $141 of premium, and I'm not looking back at all. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So we're going to offload those shares as soon as possible. And then for tomorrow, we also have my QQQ shares that are bought in at that 626 strike price, because the share price of QQQ is at that 624.22. I'm probably just going to choose at the money strike price. Also bag this, 626. Just finish off the week without any hassle. So after those 2 trade, guys, $186 extra. And then let's take a look at what some cash secured puts might look like. Because QQQ is trading at these 624.28, usually about $3 away from at the close will be a good number. So ideally for tomorrow, probably this 622. Oh, the deltas are going to be off because since the QQQ close was at that 621. Yeah, so anything from, because it closed near the 621, so $3 away from 621. So 618 will probably be a delta of usually what I like to look for of that 0.25. So because the price is at that 624 for tomorrow, this cash secured put, it's probably going to be the range I'm going to want to trade is at that 621, just because I'm familiar. Usually for that 0.25 delta is $3 to $4 away from where that's trading at the time. So for tomorrow, I'm probably going to run a cash secured put on QQQ at this 621. It's not going to be $198 of premium, guys. I can pretty much guarantee that. It's going to be maybe $50 to $80. But I'd be looking for a delta of the 0.25. This one's showing 0.45. But for, strategy's sake, if we're going to play it as if exactly what we're seeing is what I'm going to be trading, I would choose this 618 because of this delta and then because of this premium. So that would be the ideal setup, but I don't think that's what it's going to look like tomorrow. And then the other trade I plan on running is a cash secured put on SPY. I think I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my SPY cash secured put because, man, I've been keeping it pretty far away, and SPY has been closing or holding its value at that 694, 693 quite well. So I'd be fine choosing a cash secured put strike price of like this 691, 692. So let's take a look at what that might look like. So we're going to hit that sell put because we're running cash secured puts. SPY at that 694.12, usually about $2-3 away. It's that good delta. Yeah, these seem a little bit high right now. Yep, but if we were to play it based off what we're seeing, because we're visual learners, I probably would choose the 689 strike price because this delta is the range I like. If all of my cash is utilized, I'd bag about $77 a premium. So guys, tomorrow, based off of those covered calls I'm running, those cash secured puts, is probably going to be like a $200 to $400 day, depending on what the market gives us. So I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. I don't really have much more to say. This was a pretty simple trading. My biggest concern is make sure I utilize all of my shares for trading, not just some of them. But guys, that wraps the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully this continues to be a guiding force in your trading strategy, because I believe selling options is the elite form of trading. It's simple, it's easy, and once you get the hang of it, you're almost like, it really starts messing with your mind how easy it is to generate money once you have money. So yeah, guys, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. It means the world to me. I read all of your comments, appreciate all of your likes, and I will see you in the next video tomorrow. Matt out.